tightness or swelling at the injection site, and constipation. These are your days. What will each one bring? Doesn't matter. As long as you can say, I am here. Talk to your doctor about preventing migraine with Aimovig and be there more.
Alright, let's play some more. It's a beta, so...
The holidays are here. Make the most of the road ahead. Hurry in to receive a credit of up to $3,000 on select models now through January 2nd.
I wanted more for my COPD medicine. That's why I've got the power of 1, 2, 3 medicines with Trelegy, the only FDA-approved 3-in-1 COPD treatment.
The power of 1, 2, 3, Trelegy. 1, 2, 3, Trelegy.
With Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3, I'm breathing better. Trelegy
tight, huh?
ways to open airways, keep them open, and reduce inflammation for 24 hours of better breathing.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of throat
Fine so far.
osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems irrigating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Think your COPD medicine is doing enough? Maybe you should think again. Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I never knew there was a different solution to my constipation until my doctor recommended Miralax. Miralax is forcefully stimulate the nerves in your colon. Miralax works with the water in your body, unblocking your system naturally.
Miralax now available in single-serve mixing packs.
It's time to do more of what you want, where you want, with the all-new EU2200i generators from Honda. They're quiet, portable, and now packed with 200 watts of stable power and all new features. And with easy starts and simple operation, you'll get to the good times even quicker. With outstanding fuel efficiency and the same reliability you expect from Honda, it's power you can trust.
Imagine a kid who told his disability will be a lifelong struggle. Now imagine a place that same kid is told he can do anything. I don't have to imagine, because that kid is me. And that place is Shriners Hospitals for Children. Because of Shriners Hospitals for Children, I can play basketball. I could climb stairs. I can write my name. But we can't do it without you. Just 63 cents a day can change a kid's life forever. Like it did for
Pretty
me.
smooth to me.
Says you care. Your gift, no matter how small it is, can help a kid like me. Call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or go online to loveshriners.org today. You call says you care.
There's plenty of serious stuff going on today, but I do want to show you at least one potentially funny thing, and that is Stephen Colbert reacting to a Roger Stone associate who you may recall made some news on the beach. Well, of course, he admitting to me that he helped Roger Stone lie to Congress that he might die in jail, and then saying something else that he brought up which caught Stephen Colbert's eye.
What is the point of Corsi's self-incriminating TV appearance? Well, it turns out Corsi's performance might just be for one viewer.
I'm not counting on Donald Trump for anything, including a pardon. That's not the basis on which I made my decision. I don't know.
Why are you bringing up a pardon?
Because everybody, you were talking about it before, everybody...
I didn't ask you about the pardon. You're bringing up a pardon.
I'm bringing it up because I want to make it clear that I don't expect one. I'm not asking for one.
Yes, pardon me, I beg your pardon. I'm not asking for a pardon by repeatedly bringing up pardons. Pardon? Also, you know who I love? Dolly Parton. Just so talented.
Few can make the point as well as he does, but there's something serious here, which is auditioning for Trump pardons may continue to be playing out publicly in real time. As we've been reporting tonight, Roger Stone saying he'd never testify against Trump, and now Trump responds by praising Stone's guts, stoking new speculation tonight about whether this is all a public discussion of a later pardon reward. Now, Stephen Colbert matters to a lot of people because that's the way a lot of people learn from pop culture. That brings us to something I mentioned earlier tonight, a little announcement.
Where are we going here?
I am thrilled to tell you that we are launching a brand new series called Mavericks with Ari Melber. It features in-depth interviews with artists and musicians, of course, and other innovators who are breaking the rules in some way and figuring out how to pursue progress and success. So let me tell you about our first episode, which launches tonight online. I speak with actress Chloe Grace Moretz. She's the star of over 60 films, including Kick-Ass and horror films like Carrie and Let Me In. And she's got a new film called Education of Cameron Post, where Chloe takes on the very controversial practice of gay conversion therapy. A very, very problematic thing, which, as you may know, has been linked to people around Mike Pence. We went up to the roof at 30 Rock and talked about the movie, about her activism, about how Hollywood is changing for women today, and how she defied conventional wisdom in her own career, and why horror films keep us coming back.
Stand and identify within your insecurities, identify within your strangeness, and wear that as a badge of honor, because that's what makes you unique.
So talked about her view that fear can be liberating, which is one of the many things we talk about. I want to show you where you can find this. The interview debuts tonight. You'll see right here, msnbc.com/Mavericks, and you can see the entire discussion on Hollywood, horror, feminism, and a whole lot more. msnbc.com/Mavericks. I do hope you'll check it out. Now, up next, we have news on why tomorrow could be the biggest day yet in the case against Michael Flynn.
Mavericks with Ari Melber is brought to you by the first ever Cadillac XT4.
One for you and one for me.
I love it.
Oh, actually, that was supposed to be.
I love it.
I like that.
Get nearly $12,500 total value on this specially equipped $2,000 when you finance through TM Financial.
American journalism, always, is the best anywhere in the world. This land contains the incredible quality and quantity of good common sense, and it's in no danger of being led down a primrose path by a journalist. At the risk of sounding presumptuous, I would say to all of you, be patient and courage, for there will be better and happier news as we work on it.
Let's do the thing that you do. Let's clear a path. Let's put down roots. Let's build something. Let's do the thing that you do. Let's do the thing that changes the shape of everything. That pushes us forward and keeps us going. Let's do the work.
Let's begin. Yes or no? Do you want the same tools and seamless experience as web and tablet? Do you want $4.95 commissions for shocks, 50-cent options contracts,
Oh, no colliders in there.
futures contracts?
Nice.
What about a dedicated service team of trading specialists? Did you say yes? Good. And it's time.
I want to
for
get the
Power
stinger on
Trade.
that one and
Apply
collider
for
up
price
that
and service
tree.
Gives you the edge you need. Looks like we have a couple of seconds left. Let's do some card pulling. Twirling cards. E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
I tell everyone to take the Ancestry DNA test if you want to get the most details about your family history. My pie chart showed that I'm from all over Europe, but then it got super specific. I learned my people came from a small region in Poland, and even a little bit of the history about why they might have migrated during that time. Those migration patterns are more than just lines on a map. They're really your family's story.
This holiday, give the gift that's connected millions to a deeper family story. Order your kit at Ancestry.com.
When my aunt ordered you to family, she was pregnant, in-laws were coming, a little bit of water, it rocked our world.
I had no idea the amount of damage that water could do.
We called USAA, and they greeted me as they always do. Sergeant Baker, how are you? They were on it. It was unbelievable. Having insurance is something everyone needs, but having USAA, that's a privilege. We're the Bakers and we're USAA members for life.
USAA. Get your insurance quote today.
So-so pizza? Not in this house, because that's no so-so family.
put irritation in its place. And if I can get comfortable keeping this ticket safe and protected, you can get comfortable doing the same with yours. Preparation H, get comfortable with it.
The United States Postal Service makes more holiday deliveries to Florida than anyone else in the country, with one notable exception.
The team spent a lot of time and money posting jobs. We would get a flood of resumes, but finding the right person was nearly impossible. My budget has to stretch, but my time can't. I was tired of using 12 vendors. Then I learned that CareerBuilder has everything. Data to help us plan, a single source to find candidates, marketing tools to engage them, and the fastest background screening on the market. So we made the switch. Now we get the right person faster. It's not just efficient, it's smart. CareerBuilder. Work can work.
When you brew beer for over 250 years, it becomes sweeter and richer. But there is none so powerful as a simple, toasty,
I can't believe I'm about to get a fight on this.
You want to know what news will break tomorrow? Well, I have one clue. Tomorrow, Bob Mueller will be filing Michael Flynn's sentencing memo, so we'll learn at least some clues about how valuable Flynn's cooperation has been thus far, and Michael Cohen's sentencing memo, which we're working on tonight. Well, we're going to get a lot more details on the reaction to that on Wednesday. We already know that Mueller speaks primarily through these filings and actions, so you're going to get more out of the filings than just about anything else from the special counsel's office. We'll bring it all to you 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, plus whatever else breaks. But don't go anywhere right now, because Hardball with Chris Matthews is up next.
Two very different presidents. Let's play Hardball. Good evening, I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. As we begin tonight, the country honors the life and remarkable legacy of President George Herbert Walker Bush. The 41st President of the United States lies in state right now in the Capitol Rotunda and will be memorialized at the National Cathedral on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the current occupant of the White House, President Donald Trump, spent the morning raging on Twitter about his former lawyer fixer Michael Cohen and launching new attacks on the investigation of special counsel Robert Mueller. Trump tweeted, Michael Cohen asks judge for prison time. You mean he can do all the terrible unrelated to Trump things having to do with fraud, big loans, taxis, etc., and not serve a long prison term? But Trump went on to add, he lied for this outcome and should, in my opinion, serve a full and complete sentence. Well, last Thursday, Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress about a planned project for a Trump Tower in Moscow, while Trump was a candidate for president. In a memo filed Friday night, attorneys for Cohen tied Cohen's wrongdoing at the feet of President Trump himself. They said, quote, in the weeks during which his then counsel prepared his written response to the congressional committees, Michael remained in close and regular contact with White House-based staff and legal counsel to Client 1. Client 1 is President Trump. Anyway, the president's rage at Cohen kicks off a week that will see at least 2 major deadlines in special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. They include court filings related to former national security advisor Michael Flynn, remember him? His sentencing is tomorrow. And former campaign chairman Paul Manafort is this Friday's. We could also see additional filings to come surrounding Cohen before his sentencing on December 12th. And as if in anticipation, Trump lashed out at the special counsel today, calling Mueller, quote, a much different man than people think, and calling the team investigating his campaign's potential ties with Russia an out-of-control band of angry Democrats who don't want the truth, they only want lies. The truth is very bad for their mission. I'm joined now by Peter Baker, Chief White House Correspondent for the New York Times. Joyce Vance is a former federal prosecutor. Emily Jane Fox is a senior reporter for Vanity Fair. And Betsy Woodruff is a politics reporter for the Daily Beast. I want to start with Peter on this. This week, it seems to be the first question I've got to ask is why has Cohen's testimony, which has only begun, he's got only 70 hours of testimony, which could raise at every piece of Trump's life. Why is he so upset about it? He seems to be firing in all directions now.
Well, he is upset about it. Look, who knows him more than Michael Cohen? He worked for him for years. He was part of his business dealings. He was part of, fixing problems like the Stormy Daniels thing. If you're president, you don't want somebody like that beholden to a prosecutor. Now, the president is making the case that Cohen is making things up in order to lighten his sentence. His tweets today are rather extraordinary. The idea that you would just publicly call on witnesses to resist prosecutors in order to protect himself. But, Michael Cohen represents a threat in a way that Michael Flynn probably does not, or other people who have been caught up in this investigation do not. They don't have the history Michael Cohen does.
Well, maybe Flynn doesn't know as much, but he's on the other side of the fight now. He's on the prosecution side. Let me ask you about, have you noticed how Trump is out there attacking Cohen for full sentencing, life and sentences in some cases for people like Cohen, but basically coddling. Coddling's the word right for it, for people like Roger Stone. He still wants to keep them on his team.
Well, he definitely doesn't want anybody testifying against him, no question about it. His argument will be that they're being told to say lies, but you hear that a lot in any kind of criminal case. Obviously, what Robert Mueller is looking for is corroboration that there are, the contacts with the Russians that would have given the Trump campaign heads up on what the Russians were doing in terms of these democratic hacking. And his the idea of building a tower in Moscow at the same time he's running for president and making comments about the future of Crimea and other policy decisions that would be enacted if he were president. Those are pretty important things, and those are pretty important threats to this president if Robert Mueller starts linking together some connecting the dots in a way that look damning.
Joyce, it looks like the rats are leaving this ship.
Looks pretty smooth to
me. I mean, I'm dead serious about that metaphor. It looks like you people like Cohen and everybody and Flynn are all talking. The ones that don't think they can get away with talking because they're in too deep, won't get anything out of it because they're too sleazy, aren't talking yet. But it looks like something's coming. Yahoo News is reporting tonight that Mueller's investigation could be wrapping up shortly, according to a source familiar with communications between Mueller's team and defense lawyers. Quote, they've been telling people they are tying up loose ends now and trying to conclude. Your thoughts about, is this Dershowitz? Alan Dershowitz wrote that in his column today in the Wall Street Journal. This thing's reaching an end. Is that your sense?
I think it's hard to know if they're wrapping up the entire investigation or just one phase of it. We've always known that Mueller operates in different phases with different prosecutors assigned. We saw the Manafort line, the Flynn line, the Cohen line. This is a complex case with a lot of foreign dealings overseas, but it would be just like Mueller to stick to his core jurisdiction, to work only on interference in the investigation, and as he wraps that up, to send other pieces that are unfinished out to the U.S. Attorney's offices with jurisdiction. So we'll have to wait and see, but it's possible.
You mean to limit his range and prosecution to collusion, collaboration with the Russians, or limiting it to obstruction, or both?
I think to both of those are both pretty clearly, they're explicitly within the mandate that Rod Rosenstein gave him. So he could certainly do that and then continue to do matters, as Rosenstein said, that arise from his investigation. But he may choose to send those to U.S. Attorney's offices like the Eastern District of Virginia, the Southern District of New York, that have independent jurisdiction. And obviously there are a whole list of reasons that we discussed for doing that. It protects those investigations from meddling.
It's just what we go through.
Well, Betsy, you and I have heard about this Mike Isikoff piece this morning.
It's what we all go through.
Wait till you give it that this thing's coming to a head.
Isikoff's a fantastic player, and I think
Us bombers.
I can't confirm this reporting, but if he reports it, you're on safe ground, taking it really seriously. The indications, of course, that this is correct are the fact that we've already talked about, which is we've got a Cohen sentencing memo potentially coming out this week, we've got a Manafort sentencing memo, we've got a Flynn sentencing memo, and the Flynn memo in particular has the potential, although we don't know, but it has the potential to be really telling. And part of the reason for that is that Flynn has been working with Mueller's team for a year now. That's a ton of time. Mueller 4 times has asked a federal judge to give him more time to work with Flynn, and there have been basically 0 weeks out of Flynn. Flynn's cooperation with the Mueller team. We don't know what he's been telling him, and that suggests that Mueller's happy with what he's getting.
Let me go to Emily on this. It seems to be 70 hours of inquiry or inquisition, if you will. You want to be tough about it, by Mueller's team of Cohen, Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen, as Peter said a few minutes ago, was right in there. When he was snuggled in with Trump on everything he was doing. He was his fixer. He was the guy that dealt with the smelly, dirty stuff. He had to clean up things. He was the guy going around and cleaning up afterwards. Paying off the people if he could. It seems like Trump knows all this. Like in The Bad Guy in Columbo, he knows everything he's done, and he knows he's going to pay for it because Cohen knows everything he's done. Your thoughts about why this is getting under his skin, the Cohen testimony of the last few days?
Well, I think that there are two reasons. The first reason is just as you said, that Cohen has worked for him for a dozen years. He was in there not only with him cleaning up his messes, but Cohen was in there with his children cleaning up his children's messes, and I think that that gets under his skin. The other thing is, the president doesn't like anyone who he perceives as disloyal to him.
Gaping hole.
The way that he has perceived what Cohen has done is him being incredibly disloyal to him. Now, Cohen was acting as most people would in this situation. He was protecting himself, he was protecting his family, he's trying to limit his own jail time. As he has explained to me, and as his lawyers have explained, he's trying to do the right thing now, finally, once he's seen the light and come clean. But the president has perceived this as a personal slight, a personal offense, and that's part of the reason as well. Now, I will say there was something very interesting in the sentencing memo that his lawyer put out on Friday. He was saying that Cohen was in close contact with people around the president last year when he was preparing to lie for Congress. Now, he didn't go as far, the attorney did not go as far as to say that he was directed to lie to Congress. But I know from interviewing Cohen that August, actually exactly around the time that he wrote the statement to congressional investigators, that Cohen carried two phones with him, one in a black case and one in a white case. And the phone in the black case, he explained to me in the interview, was a phone that he carried just to receive calls from people in the White House. So this was someone who was definitely in close contact, at least as he explained it to me, with the White House during that period of time.
It's like Veloci papers. Anyway, Trump was calling for Michael Cohen to rot in jail. He had nothing but praise for Roger Stone, as I said, another potential target in Mueller's crosshairs for having said this yesterday.
There's no circumstance under which I would testify against the president because I'd have to bear false witness against him. I'd have to make things up, and I'm not going to do that.
Well, Trump tweeted this morning, "I will never testify against Trump." This statement was recently made by Roger Stone, essentially stating that he will not be forced by a rogue and out-of-control prosecutor to make up lies and stories about President Trump. Nice to know that some people still have guts. Joyce, you've been through this. Why would a guy who might potentially go to prison, or a president might get kicked out of office, impeached, whatever, why would he trash one witness? Is he talking to the jury? Or is he just trying to make the guy feel bad? Or what's the advantage of trashing someone who's turned state's evidence against you?
You know, it's an interesting situation. First, I think it's important to say that every prosecutor who reads this whole little back and forth sort of yawns. Because there's absolutely no witness who becomes a cooperator for the government and sings like a bird down the road who hasn't at some point said that they would never cooperate against the kingpin or whoever it is that they're being asked to testify against. That just seems really ordinary. What's unusual here is the president's Twitter involvement, and the underlying question is whether you can obstruct justice, whether you can intimidate witnesses via Twitter. It looks like he's flirting with that on a daily basis sometimes.
Let me go back to Peter about the week ahead. The whole segment at the beginning of the show is looking ahead. It's Monday. Of course, we're going to get back to the funeral of George Herbert Walker Bush, but we want to get the week started. It looks to me like there's a lot of events coming up this week and filings about certainly tomorrow with Flynn, and later on in the week Manafort, and then coming up very soon apparently something again on Cohen. Is there a accumulation here that even Trump can't withstand, where it's just going to splat against the wall, all these charges?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, is it really only Monday? It feels later in the week already, but you're right. One of these, each of these memos, one after the other, could be very revealing, could help us see more clearly where Robert Mueller is taking his investigation. And you see the kind of the build-up, the accumulation that has been waiting to come out, while Mueller passed during the campaign rallies. He was trying to stay low from Labor Day through Election Day to not seem to be politicking or influencing the politicking. And now that that election has passed, now that Thanksgiving has passed us, you see sort of the beginning of a series of revelations and disclosures and actions that will begin to pile up. And it does, it does weigh on a president to have these things come, especially day after day after day.
And here come the Democrats. The upcoming chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, New York Democrat Jerry Nadler, spelled out how devastating Cohen's bombshell plea could prove to be for President Trump.
The fact that he was lying to the American people about doing business in Russia, and that the Kremlin knew he was lying, gave the Kremlin a hold over him. And one question we have is, does the Kremlin still have a hold over him because of other lies that they know about?
Starting January 3rd, the president faces a second enemy. It's like Germany in World War II. They're going to have the West as well as the East coming at them. The Democrats in the Congress, if they have any confidence, and I think they have some, will be subpoenaing everything, from his tax returns to the latest filings that they can't get automatically from Mueller. They're going to go after him for everything.
That's right, and there's two things to keep an eye on. First, the White House is in a mad dash to lawyer up. The White House counsel's office has just sort of atrophied over the last 2 years, and they're scrambling to beef up the legal team they have there because they know they have to brace for impact once Democratic chairs, including Nadler, get the gavels. And the second thing to keep an eye on, of course, is Democrats, comparably scrambling to get on these committees. From chatting with folks close to the committee over the course of the day, I learned the Democrats are lining up to get on House Judiciary because they're expecting it to be the place where the action is, in part, of course, because Nadler would be in a position to preside over any potential impeachment proceedings.
It's a whole new world out there starting January 3rd. Thank you, Peter Baker of the Times, Joyce Vance, Emily Jane Fox of Vanity Fair, and Betsy Woodruff. Coming up, say goodbye to George Herbert Walker Bush. We're going to take a long look at his important legacy as the 41st President of the United States, and why many are calling for see it as an end of an era for the Republican Party. I guess why. We all know why. He was a decent guy. And with just weeks to go until the new Congress is sworn in, the Republican Party is losing some of its most outspoken Trump critics, like Senator Bob Corker's going. Jeff Flake is gone practically. But they're not going quietly. The Washington Post dubbed this lame duck period the last stand of Congress's Never Trump Brigade. Unfortunately, it is the last stand. This is hard.
That sucked.
I can do more to lower my A1C.
Because my body can still make its own insulin.
I take Trulicity once a week to activate my body to release its own insulin, like it's supposed to. Trulicity is not insulin. It works 24/7. It comes in an easy-to-use pen, and I may even lose a little weight.
Trulicity is an injection to improve blood sugar in adults with type 2 diabetes when used with diet and exercise. Don't use it as the first medicine to treat diabetes, or if you have type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Don't take Trulicity if you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, you're allergic to Trulicity, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of a serious allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, or severe stomach pain. Serious side effects may include taking Trulicity with a sulfonyl increases your blood sugar levels.
Damn it. That's a good idea.
Abdominal pain and decreased appetite. These can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
To help lower my A1C, I choose Trulicity to activate my within.
Ask your doctor about once weekly Trulicity.
Applebee's Bigger Bolder Grill combos are back. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Let's be honest. Every insurance company tells you they can save you money. Save up to 10% when you bundle with eShirts.
Including me, eShirts spokesperson Dennis Quaid.
He's a pretty good spokesperson.
So when I say drivers who switch from Geico to eShirts saved an average of $412, you probably won't believe me. Hey, actor lady who's seen the sketch. But you can believe this eShirts employee, Nancy Abel. Seriously, send her an email and ask her yourself. No emails. When insurance is affordable, it's surprisingly painless.
Sometimes the pressures of today's world can make it tough to take care of yourself. But Nature's Bounty has innovative ways to help you maintain balance and help keep you active, and well-rested. Because, hey, tomorrow's coming up fast. Nature's better, because you're better off healthy.
A lot of people worry about driving dark roads at night.
Easy to
Fortunately, with better headlights, near misses like these can be avoided. Switch to Silver Star Ultra. Think farther down the road.
Unstoppable Wi-Fi has a starting place. The Xfinity X5 Gateway. And it's strengthened by X5 pods, which plug in to extend the Wi-Fi even farther, past anything that stands in its way. Almost anything. Leave no room behind with X5 pods. Simple, easy, awesome. Click or visit a retail store today.
Today, this hero has returned to the capital a final time.
Throughout his life of service, President Bush personified grace. His character was second to none.
His example will always inspire.
Damn.
And his lifetime of service will be enshrined in the hearts of the American people forever.
Garbage.
Welcome back to Harville. The country continues to mourn today as we remember a fallen leader. Of course, President George Herbert Walker Bush now lying in state right now in the U.S. Capitol, a few blocks from here. Within this hour, the public will be welcome to join in that and get in line. I think I'll be there tomorrow morning. The 41st president made one last trip back to Washington on Air Force One today, renamed Special Air Mission 41 in his honor. Bush's service to the country he loved spanned a lifetime. Of course, look at this list. A Navy pilot during World War II, shot down a couple times by the Japanese. U.S. Congressman from Texas, envoy to China, CIA director, vice president, of course, president. In his one term as president, he had a lasting impact both domestically and abroad, of course, passing landmark legislation, including the Americans with Disability Act, the Clean Air Act, and
Too
break of the Soviet Union. That was
much.
pretty big. He also served as a restrained commander-in-chief in the Gulf War. More than can be said for another member of his family. At the end of the week, he will return to Texas, where he will be buried alongside Barbara Bush and his daughter Robin, who passed away at the age of just 3 due to leukemia. That was a tragic point in their family's lives. For more on the life of George H.W., I'm joined right now by Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief of USA Today, John Meacham, of course, one of the great presidential historians of our time and author of Destiny and Power, The American Odyssey of George Herbert Walker Bush, a great book. And Eugene Robinson, columnist for the Washington Post. You're also wise. I have to start with you, John, because I loved your book, especially I wasn't as thrilled by his progeny as I was by him, but there are people in that new class of Bushes which are very impressive. Not the ones you would think of. People like Marvin, I think, are great people. Your thoughts?
It's a significant family. Some have chosen politics, some have chosen, they all serve in some capacity. And I think they do it because the reverence they have for their dad is an ambient reality. I like to say that if my kids end up having 10% of the affection for me that the Bush children have for George H.W. Bush and Barbara Bush, I'll be way ahead of the game.
What's the difference between Joseph Kennedy and how he influenced his kids and George Herbert Walker Bush? This is a big divide, so explain.
Such a great question. I think this is something you think about a lot too and written about. I think to some extent it's the immigrant story versus the patrician story. The Bushes were not New Englanders. They were the Walkers were from St. Louis, the Bushes from Columbus, Ohio. But S.P. Bush, who was Senator Prescott Bush's father, was the sort of the guy in Buckeye Steel for the Harriman fortune. They came east pretty quickly. Prescott Bush, like his son, was kind of entrepreneurial. He ended up being a big investment banker. But I think the Kennedys had an ambition that burned even more brightly. The Bushes, I think, felt more comfortable that they had been born to some extent to lead. Like the Kennedys were trying to break into a world dominated by people like the Bushes.
Yeah, Gene, your thoughts?
He was the last of a kind, I think, in a way, at least in terms of our presidents. He did have that noblesse oblige. He came from that class, from that family, and he had he was the last, I think, of the period when bipartisanship was a real thing. It was different from pre-Bush and post-Bush. I think there were very different things. He was it was the time when people really did have friendships and relationships and common interests across the aisle, and when party didn't mean what it means now. And I think he was, in a sense, a transitional figure for the Republican Party. You know, he came in and he was what we would call a moderate Republican, or not at all a Republican right now, actually, given today's Republican Party.
But his three best friends, right, because Chris was working with him, were Democrats in the House. Bud Ashley of Ohio, Sonny Montgomery of Mississippi, and Rosti.
Yeah, who all Democrats.
Yeah.
All in different circumstances. Even when Rosti went to prison for the stuff he did, and he did do it, Bush stuck with him as a friend.
Yeah, because that's who he was, right? But he especially stuck with him when he was in trouble. That's when you especially need your...
Let's talk about personal relationships, not just some of the schmaltzy stuff, which is all true. I noticed that he was always really good at nurturing relationships for a good reason. Like he was working Mubarak years before Mubarak became president of Egypt, sitting at baseball games, autographing baseballs with him up at Orioles Park. And then when these people, it was not a dance learned for the occasion, that he knew as part of his life and growing up was getting to know certain people that he would be able to influence at some point when it mattered.
You know, that's so true, and it's so true during his presidency and his vice presidency, and actually when he was at the UN as well, where he took a long view in building relationships with other foreign leaders or people who were going to be foreign leaders in other countries. He told his staff he didn't want the first call that he made to a foreign leader to be a situation where he had to ask for a favor or where there was a crisis.
Teach that to every young person in America right now. Don't make the first call when you want something.
Make a call, say, how are things going with you? How are things going to have a relationship that provides a context so that when you have the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq, you can call these leaders and forge a coalition.
The other deft sort of hardball
good-looking course
he did was when he was in China, he made sure
good-looking course. Didn't see one issue.
Every National Day event. Because, as he put it, we're the big guys, but everybody wants their moment in the sun. And so he made